Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the third group. The third group consists by me, Dilanur Azizah, and my friend Kapitariani Kimpo Allen. We will explanation or presentation about multiple choice test item. Okay, now let's start with the first explanation or first topic. Okay, the first explanation is about definition of multiple choice test item and some example. Multiple choice items are commonly used in language testing. Multiple choice items are mostly prepared by teachers thanks to the fact that they are relatively easy to prepare and practical to administer. Multiple choice items seems to be reliable compared with other type or tests which are negatively affected by subjectivity. Multiple choice items are described as receptive or selective. Brown 2004. Brown suggests that multiple choice items provide overloaded teacher with the opportunity of easy and consistent process of scoring and grading. Jadi, soal pilihan ganda ini terdiri dari satu pertanyaan. Satu pertanyaan ini disebut dengan STEM. Dengan beberapa kemungkinan jawaban atau choices. Termasuk jawaban yang benar dan beberapa jawaban yang salah. Biasanya siswa akan memilih jawaban yang benar dengan melingkari angka atau huruf yang terkait dengan jawaban tersebut. Adapun struktur dasar soal pilihan ganda ini yaitu setiap butir soal pilihan ganda memiliki stem yang bertindak sebagai stimulus dan beberapa alternatif jawaban yang diberikan kepada peserta tes untuk dipilih. Dari semua alternatif tersebut ada satu kunci yang didefinisikan sebagai respon yang paling tepat untuk STEM tersebut dan alternatif lainnya disebut distractor. This is some example of multiple choice test item, and all of you can read the example on the paper that has been uploaded on Google Classroom. Okay, next is about the characteristic of multiple choice test item. The best multiple choice exam focus on the material, test students in a simple and straightforward way, and avoid pitfalls that can distract or mislead students. In order to make sure your tests are effective and accurate assessment tools, here are something to keep in mind. Here are some characteristics of multiple choice test item. That is, the first, good multiple choice tests use clear and concise language in both the question and answer. Number two, the question should focus the test taker on a content, not trying to understand what the question is asking. Number three, the best question assess the student on a single concept or fact. Next, each question should have a single factual answer and should be understandable at a single glance. And the last, it's important that most question and answer avoid being humorous or outrageous. Next is about advantages of multiple choice. Advantages of multiple choice. Number one is can assess a variety of learning targets. Number two, efficient and easy to score and grade. Number three, scoring is objective. Number four, provides wide content sampling and coverage. Number five, give a student practice for standardized tests. And the last advantages is can provide diagnostic information about student misunderstanding. Okay, in this slide, I want to explain about disadvantage of multiple choice test item. There are seven disadvantages of multiple choice test item. The first is limited feedback to correct errors in student understanding. The second is time to focus on low level learning objectives. Third is result may be based by reading ability or test wiseness. And the fourth is development of good item is time consuming. The fifth is measuring ability to organize and express ideas is not possible. The next is influenced by reading ability and test wiseness. And the last is provides limited feedback to students. Okay, next is about the constructing multiple choice items. There is 4 constructing. The first is the STEM should be meaningful by itself and should present a defined problem. A STEM that presents a defined problem allows a focus on the learning outcomes. A STEM that does not present a clear problem, however, may test student ability to draw in inferences from value description, rather serving as a more direct test of student achievement of the learning outcomes. The second is the STEM should not contain irrelevant material. The next is the STEM should be negatively stated only when significant learning outcomes require it. Students often have difficulty understanding items with negative pricing. If a significant learning outcomes requires negative pricing, such as identification of dangers, laboratory of clinical practice, the negative elements should be passed with italic or capitalization. The last is the STEM should be a questions or a partial sentence. A question STEM is preferable because it allows the student to focus on answering the question rather than holding the partial sentence in working memory and sequentially completing it with each alternative. The cognitive load is increased when the STEM is constructed with an initial or interior blank, so this construction should be avoided. Okay, and this slide is about writing a multiple choice test item. Suggestion for writing multiple choice items are summarized in the following points. These guidelines are also helpful when you review, evaluate, select question from an item bank. When you write the items, begin with this term, then the correct response, and finally the distractors. The bank also provides items that can be used as a pretest. Okay, the first is write the STEM as a clearly described question or task. If you want the STEM to be meaningful by itself, it should clearly and succinctly communicate what is expected. If the STEM makes sense only by reading the responses, it is poorly constructed. It is best then to put as much information as possible in the stem and not the responses, as long as the stem does not become too wordy or complex. Jadi usahakan ketika kita ingin membuat stem harus memasukkan informasi yang bermanfaat dan usahakan stem tersebut tidak bertele-tele dan masuk akal. Kemudian yang kedua yaitu write the correct response with no irrelevant clues. There should not be any differences between the wording of the correct answer and the distractors that would clue the student to respond on some basis others than the knowledge being tested. Common mistakes include making the correct response longer, more elaborate or detailed, more general, more technical, the one that is grammatically correct, or the one that repeats wording in the stem. Ya, jadi usahakan ketika membuat jawaban itu tidak terlalu panjang, tidak terlalu rinci, tidak terlalu rumit, sehingga itu akan lebih memudahkan siswa. Kemudian yang ketiga, do not use verbatim correct responses. Avoid using the same Avoid using the same language or wording as in textbook or handouts as the correct response. This is because a sentence out of context loses meaning, and rote memorization is encouraged. Move beyond recall knowledge to comprehension by changing the wording. Jadi hindari menggunakan bahasa atau kata-kata yang sama seperti dalam buku teks sebagai jawaban yang benar. Jadi ketika kita ingin membuat jawaban dari multiple choice pilihan ganda, usahakan jawaban itu jangan sama seperti apa yang ada di buku teks siswa, seperti itu. Terus yang keempat yaitu write the distractor to be plausible yet wrong. Distractor are useful if they are so obviously wrong that students do not even consider them as possible answer. The intent of a multiple choice item is to have students discriminate among what they see as possible correct answer. Distractors should appear to be plausible to poorly prepared student. A good approach to establishing plausible yet incorrect distractor is to identify common misunderstanding or errors by student, and then write this structure, then appeal to students who have the misunderstanding. When students select these types of distractor, it helps pinpoint feedbacks. The next is avoid using all the above, none of the above, or other special distractor. This process are undesirable for a number of reasons. All of the above is the right answer if all the options are correct, and some students may select the first item that is correct without reading the others. Only when students need to know what not to do would none of the above be appropriate. Be sure to avoid options such as A and C but not D or other combination. Item with this type of response tend to measure restoring ability as much as knowledge, and especially for measure knowledge, the items take far too long to answer. If you are like me, that items can also create negative effect, confusion, and even bewilderment. Lower ability students are quickly turned off. And the last is use each alternative as the correct answer about the same number of times. If you have four possible choices, about 25% of the items should have the same letter as the correct response, or 20% if there are five choices. This avoids a pattern that can increase the change the student will guess the correct answer. Perhaps heard you have heard the old admonition from test with student when it pixie. There is some truth to this for test writers who are not careful to use all the responses equal as the correct one. Okay, thank you everyone for watching the explanation video of multiple choice test item. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.